Welcome to another episode of Brit and Poland. This week I go back to Zakopane. Well, precisely, I was there in December. I've been to Zakopane a few times and been to a few different trails. There are a lot of trails in the Tatry Mountains in this area. So this is going to cover a couple of new trails that I covered with my group, Warsaw Global. And it was, as you can see, a very snowy time. So enjoy some lovely mountain views, maybe learn a couple of trails you might like to travel, and have a relaxed conversation. Stay tuned.
Dzień dobry and welcome to A Brit in Poland. With this channel, I travel across the country, I bring you the culture, and I show you just how amazing Poland is. So I invite you on my journey. If you want to see more, I have Facebook and Instagram profiles, which you will find links to in the description below. And if you want to really help out, you can turn to my Patreon or Patronite accounts, again in the description. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy this video. Please like, share and subscribe. Do zobaczenia.
Familiar with Zakopane? It is one of the touristy parts of Poland, down in the south, just a bit below Krakow. So this map shows you the routes that we took, and I'll give you a little bit of detail as we go along. Now, I know people love my political videos, but sometimes it's just nice to escape that. So we get into Zakopane, and the first thing before our hike, one of our chaps gets locked in the bathroom. This is quite hilarious. At the time, it was a bit stressful for some, but we eventually got him out, and we decided to go on our trek. So the first trek, actually, we were able to go directly from Zakopane, so we didn't have to use any public transport. We were able to just walk through the city, and as you can see, it was very, very snowy. So you can guess perhaps the views were not perfect on this first day. And it was around, well, before Christmas. So we popped into a bakery for some breakfast, and you can see they had some cool little Christmas treats. Nobody ate the Christmas treats. We were focusing more on sandwiches. And what I did get to appreciate on this trip, which I hadn't on previous trips to Zakopane, were the proper Zakopane style houses. Previously, I'd only really been in the centre, and it felt very fake, very artificial. But when you get away from the centre and into the suburbs, these houses look pretty amazing, and you can understand why people are quite proud of them. So this was the first trail. So we went down a couple of valleys. This area is like Dolina Strążyska, and it was a little peak that we wanted to get to. We'll show you the peak as we get there. And yes, the whole area was covered in snow, which, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. In Poland, like when you're traveling, the mountains is often a good destination during the winter, because the mountains you can pretty much enjoy all year round. It's only really when it's raining that you want to stay away. Oh, and of course during storms. Yeah, they can be a bit treacherous during storms. So the route started out very level, very manageable, and it's like, oh, okay, this isn't too bad. It was a little bit slippery in places. I do recommend getting a pair of crampons if you're going into the mountains during the winter, because you never quite know. Even on like the snow, it gets a bit compacted, it can get a bit slippery, and that's before you even think about any potential ice. So especially when you're going up or down on rather kind of steep inclines, those crampons do really help with your footing. Some people don't think they need them. I was on a trip recently where a poor chap broke his leg without wearing crampons, and yeah, I'm pretty sold on these things. And here is one of the typical Polish forests. You don't have very many, let's say, old forests in Poland. There are a few. So these things look pretty uniform because they've basically been replanted, because a lot of the wood in Poland has been used historically for forts or for war or just general buildings. So you get a lot of these forests that look rather regimented. So, as you can see, we're going up in the mountains, and it was getting quite steep in places. One chap actually had, I think he had a little issue with blood pressure, and we needed to take a slight break on the way while he recovered because all the blood was rushing to his head. But eventually we did get to our peak, which was Sarnia Skała. And this is like 1,378 meters above sea level, so fairly high compared to a number of other mountains in Poland. As you can see, the view was completely ruined by the heavy mist. I think it's a curse I have when I'm in Zakopane, that I get to these cool peaks and then, I get to really not enjoy the view. And I think the next day was a lot sunnier, and I was like, darn it, but never mind. And I like these kind of signpostings showing the various trails and the various, let's say, scenic viewpoints, so it's always worth to pay attention to those. We got to a bit of a shelter, and then we headed up a trail to get to this waterfall, which was frozen. It's one of those things that looks amazing in the summer, and in the winter it's like, oh look, it's a trail of ice. And as you can see, a lot of people just wanted to get photos by it, even though it perhaps didn't look quite as impressive in the winter weather. But we persevered. It was a fairly tiring trip, fighting the elements, going up some pretty steep areas, but it was pretty much downhill from here, so it wasn't too bad. And you get to see all of the cool trees and things submerged in the snow. And one thing I love about these mountain trips is you really do just escape from everywhere. You just focus on what's going on around you. You don't have to think about the disaster of global politics. You don't have to worry about the cost of living. You just relax and enjoy nature's scenery. And it's my ambition to see as much of nature as humanly possible in Poland. And certainly there will be many more videos focusing on some beautiful spots for you to see. So we near the end of day one, so we get back to civilization, enjoy the Zakopane style houses on our way back. And they're pretty beautiful, you have to be honest. And we went into the centre, so some chap had half of his newspaper stolen. I think he was a famous journalist or something like that. We went to one of the brovars, and it was pretty cool because there was some live music, which we got to enjoy. And you can see there's some interesting architecture in the centre of Zakopane. I mean, it's an interesting place to visit. So the next morning, we decided we're going to have another hike, a little bit easier compared to the previous day. So we stop at one of the local cafes, and we're just chilling. A lot of people are enjoying their coffees or their croissants. And then there was some lovely Polish breakfasts on offer. Yeah, there are some really nice breakfasts available in Poland. It doesn't quite compete with an English breakfast in my eye, but certainly very tasty. So in Zakopane, they have a new bus station, which I was quite glad of, because the last time I was here, they pretty much just had a little corner. But we're going to go on to our next hike, which is Dolina Kościeliska, and this one was pretty flat. So it was pretty much just going through a valley. You can see very frozen rocks, but I don't know why, but I just really like rock formations. Personally, I found that the best rock formations tend to be more in the Sudety region, but Zakopane does have, the Tatry Mountains has the highest and most dramatic mountains in Poland, so it's you could say most people's number one place to go, especially your more adventurous types. We weren't in an adventurous trip mode this time. We just very much wanted to have a relaxing walk in nature. So we're walking through this valley, so we have like the dramatic rises either side. I was singing Ave Maria, passing this, which is, I hope, not sacrilegious. But I do love seeing these like shrines in the mountains. I think, they're very cool. And this was some kind of memorial. You do see these from time to time. Often they're kind of related to, some kind of battle or some accident that's happened in the mountain, which has claimed the life of someone. And I do think it's quite important to appreciate these monuments when you see them. And we saw like an interesting style bridge. I like the kind of stones. And our target was basically this hut. And it was perfect because I was able to get a beer. We were able to just sit down and relax. Some people indulged in building a snowman. I do really like, these mountain huts. I've been to quite a few now, and each one has its own special charm, you could say. Some are definitely more equipped than others. And you can see our lovely snowman family, which was actually there before. We can't take credit for that one. So the sun was coming out a bit, so the views were a little bit nicer on the way back. And you can just see the kind of dramatic mountainscape, and the air was so fresh. I can almost feel it now. It was really just such an idyllic setting. And yeah, I'm gradually, as you may see from my mountain playlist, I'm gradually getting around the mountains in Poland. I've got a couple of mountain trips coming up soon, actually. We're going to be going to Żywiec, we're going to be going to Szklarska Poręba, hoping to get to the Table Mountains this year. I've got another video in another mountain range, I can't remember the name, but eventually I'm getting there. So yes, we get back to Zakopane, and it's like, okay, we're hungry. And so we took the bus back to the centre, and we went to this browar, Gwano. And this was like a proper restaurant, had some very nice food there. And one thing I love to do in these browars when possible is to get these kind of tasting sample sets. So, you get like, 0.125 litres of each different beer that they have. And this is this really cool like market area. So a few people were stopping for souvenirs. And yeah, we enjoyed some of the Christmas time. So I hope you enjoyed this brief stint in Zakopane, and hope it inspires you to go and see some new trails. Thank you very much. Do zobaczenia.